Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm David.
And this is the Practical Guitarist Podcast.
The podcast for people who eat, sleep, and breathe guitar. Hi, Jim.
Hi, David.
I've been doing something this week. I've been working on vocals. So let me sing you the song of my people.
I think you just scared everybody away from ever listening to this podcast again.
The song of my people is fuzz. And that's what fuzz sounds like, folks.
Oh, I thought you were going to get into the whole terrible vocal thing of
No. We're not going to do Cookie Monster. No.
Raw.
You know what? So in prep for a potential topic in the very near future, Jim and I have been tasked with listening to a playlist of music that I don't think either of us would normally be seeking out.
No.
And there is definitely some like Cookie Monster vocals going on, but I will say that the wide range of stuff that was presented to us, there's different variations on that now, like, I can accept some of it and some of it I can't. And we'll get into that when we get to that episode. But it's interesting, and I think it'll be good for our listeners to hear Jim and I argue about what we hate.
Yeah, because I think that what we like and dislike about it are going to be completely different things altogether.
Oh, absolutely. I think so too. So anyway, I want to start off this episode because we're going to talk about some of Jim's new gear, what's new with him, and all that. But before we get there, I have just come into month 3 in the year of no gear. Panic is setting in.
Everyone is so proud of you, David.
No, so there are some people in the group where I get the feeling that they're kind of ribbing me, but it's like, they actually do respect what I'm trying to achieve here, which is really nothing.
Yeah,
and
literally nothing.
I have moments where I feel like I'm very empowered by this, and moments where I feel like, holy fuck, what did I get myself into? Yep. As my wife says, like over the last couple of days since I played at Fillmore, and not the venue, but the amp, and have talked about that would have been something, and talked about some other things around the house and musicians I'm listening to and stuff. She's coined this phrase, and I want to give this to the world. And I'm sure you probably all heard this phrase before, but it's called a tone boner. And so now when I describe something I like in my house, I'm talking to my wife specifically, not the outside world, we call it a tone boner.
Okay.
So the Mesa Fillmore has given me a raging tone boner.
I'm sure it has. But the Fillmore will be there in a year. I mean, in 9 months.
It will be, but I want it sooner.
Right?
Doesn't change it. Doesn't change it.
All right, so we're going to talk about what I'm doing. So we'll talk about why I had to get new gear. So the band decided to call it quits. I think I made that.
We talked about disintegration last week.
So I made a decision. Okay, I'm going to go solo, and I tried to use a Boss RC3 looper. And to be honest, after I got it for a great price used, and after a little use, I returned it because not because it wasn't good. I think that anybody who's looking to loop their guitars is fine with that. But the one thing that almost every one of these devices does is when you push the button to stop the loop you're in, it immediately wants to loop or begin another loop. So it goes into immediate overdub mode.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want that. I want to stop the loop and not be an overdub. The next time I hit it, I can stop again.
I want to say that the Digitech Jam Man XT or whatever, you can actually set it so it won't automatically go into overdub mode. I want to say that. I haven't used mine a whole lot. Once I got the Helix, I started using the looper in there, and it's got 2 different variations. So
Yeah. So the Voice Live 3 went on sale on the Musician's Friend deal of the day, whatever we call it, stupid deal of the day. And I picked that up, got it, and started playing with that. It has 3 loops you can control. Unfortunately, without an external thing to get to C, get the loop C, because you got A, B, and C, you have to do a little toe tapping. But you can change, you can modify buttons on your Voice Live 3 so that I can make that swap done much more simply.
Mm.
So you can play loops A and B together, or I think it's A and B and A and C, but not B and C. It's a thing about it. Yeah.
Whatever.
So, but you can overdub all day long. So you can overdub, like loop A, overdub.
As long as
and
you
then
don't exceed that 15-minute
right,
4 times.
right. So yeah, that's the other side of it. You can only have 15 minutes of looping in it, which is really not a lot. And they don't have any expansion for that, which I find weird in that they have a external USB. You'd think they could just read from the USB, but they don't. You have to load it, even in their extreme version, which has much, much more time. You still have to take that data from USB and load it into the extreme to use it.
And that goes back to the design philosophy that a lot of these companies take when they're designing a piece of gear. So, like a computer, all of these machines have basically a processor, and then they have an amount of RAM, memory, and then they usually have some sort of hard drive storage, which is usually flash based now. Even the processors themselves are often EEPROM based, so they're a flashable thing, which means they run Unix or Linux of some variation, and it's stripped down to exactly what that machine needs. And so when you're talking about these loops and stuff, I mean, really, 50 minutes of loop time is what? Like, I mean, it's a couple meg.
It's a lot.
It's a couple. Well, no, it depends. 24 by 96. One.
That's a WAV file.
Yeah, one WAV file at 24 by 96. I mean, we're talking. I don't know what the number is offhand, but I could do that in Logic, and my file size is under 50 meg. So nowadays, I mean, that kind of hard drive storage. Hard drive storage is cheap, but they're going as small as they can to get the stuff that they can fit onto their boards, and
also,
to make
remember,
the prices inexpensive.
Well, also remember that this thing is, let's see, time-wise, it came out 2014.
Right.
So it is already 4 years old. The Extreme came out later. The other thing the Extreme can do, now this is something you can do with the Voice Live 3. There's a little life hack for that, is that the Extreme can automate in your song.
Mm-hmm.
Can automate where it will switch on and off effects, both guitar and vocal.
That makes sense.
So you can go back and you can automate your guitar and vocal effects. Now, a life hack for that, which was already in the Voice Live, it wasn't too hard to figure out, MIDI.
Yeah.
So you can pre-program a MIDI controller, which you can do with your iPad.
Yeah, I mean, you can use all kinds of crap as a MIDI controller now.
Right. You can use your phone.
Right.
And there's a program called Setlist, which many of us use. I do as well, which has a MIDI plugin you can buy for $4. You put that in there, and now you've got with a cable that you can buy for $10-15.
Yeah.
A MIDI cable that does USB. You can connect right into your phone, and boom, you're now, or you can use a laptop.
And then your set list changes all your settings on the fly, and you're good to go.
Done.
Done. The only thing, so that doesn't affect your ability to loop, though. I mean, it doesn't allow you to pre-save loops and things like that.
No, but if you're going to use an external device anyway, which most of us are going to, you're going to have most singers, I'm not talking about the singer-songwriter doing a coffee shop gig. Most of us that are doing club gigs are going to have some lyrics or something, a set list, something on an iPad.
Right.
So we're going to have something there that allows us to go ahead and run in to the auxiliary and run tracks or loops anyway that create outside of it. So I'm like, well, I create all my looping through Ableton or, whatever.
Yeah, and we talked about that. Jim and I had a long conversation when he had mentioned that he was planning on pursuing a solo project like this. And I'm kind of doing the same thing, but I'm doing like either I'm making my own tracks or
which is what I'm doing now.
Going to be trying to look for original masters kind of deals with drop guitar and vocal. And I find that it's easier to do that than it is to run loops. It's definitely easier to prepare it. And the loops themselves, like people, so there are people that are incredibly proficient at like sitting there and playing, drums on their guitar and doing it, through a looper and they're playing acoustic or whatever. And I've just never been that guy to be like, all right, I'm just going to record this loop and I'm going to rock and roll. And I've used loopers pretty heavily. I mean, it's not like it's a once in a while thing. Like I always have a looper up on my Helix patch because even for doing demos, like I'm working on this Pinnacle demo for the Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe V2, whatever. It's a long name. And I'm using the looper to just do a riff or like a short section of recorded music where I'll have like a lead part and then like a rhythm part and then a heavier rhythm part. And then I'll run it through the pedal and I can turn the knobs while it's all automated. So I don't have to actually play my guitar while I'm running the loop.
Right.
Which is, I mean, we've all seen guys do it. Knobs does it, I mean, everyone does it in videos. For a pedal that's a lot more complicated, such as the Wampler Pinnacle, this is the format to run this pedal, like because there's a lot of different switches and options on it. And just being able to do that short loop, like maybe 30 seconds, like I'll have to do it 4 or 5 times before I'm comfortable with it being, appropriate for the recording. Good thing is I don't have to play the loop on the demo. I can play the loop beforehand and then just save it and then come back later and be like, all right, play. I mean, I can't turn off my Helix, but at least I can get away with it that way. I don't think the Helix will save the loop in memory past turning off and turning back on. I have a Digitech Jamman XT for that too. So, but that's the other thing we were talking about is like playback. If you're going to use tracks, does the Voice Live allow you to use tracks through it, or do you have to? Or are you going to have to use a separate thing to run tracks?
No, you can run the track right through the Voice Live.
Okay. So
I can run a track into the aux.
Okay, so that's an aux input. All right.
And then because I mean, and that's the other thing. If you're a solo artist and you have something like this, you're going to take a break, which most of us do.
Yeah, you plug your iPhone in, play a song, walk away.
Right. So really, your tracks can also include right in between. You've got a set list that you're going to play, so that you can make sure that the songs you're going to sing later aren't songs that go over the house PA while you're on break. So the last thing you need is for the jukebox to play a song that you're about to do when you're getting on stage.
Right.
And let me tell you, that happens.
Yeah, I don't really care if it does or not. I'm just going to go up and give it my best and freaking blow people's heads off. That's
like you did at the beginning of this podcast.
Dude, I take no fucking prisoners, man. Like when I'm going up on stage, I told you about that gig. I think we talked about it on the podcast where I went in to sit in with he was the band leader for at some point for like Cool in the Gang or something like that, but he was the piano player, and he was like, "Can you hang?" Because we weren't even supposed to be there. Like we were invited, and nobody told him. So he's like, "Can you hang?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got this." And he was asking me to stay. Like when I had to leave when it was like early because I was like, "Man, I got to drive out to the burbs. I got to work tomorrow." Right. And he's like, "No," he's like, "You can stay if you want." And I'm like, "No, that's okay." Like I got it. Like, that was a strange situation, but I mean, like that's my attitude. Is like, no, dude, like I'm gonna take no prisoners. So if they play the song on the jukebox, I'm just gonna hit another fuzz pedal in the middle of it. Like, I'm gonna do something to make people go, "What the hell was that?" Like, turn on the phaser.
Well, the other part of it is that as a solo act, I think that there's a certain point that your own voice will start to wear on the audience, or your own playing will start to wear on the audience. So it's nice to have the ability to use these vocal effects processors, which is really what the Voice Live does the best. That's what it does best.
Yeah.
Voice.
So let's touch on that for a minute too. So you said that to me the other night, and I agreed. Like, I understand, but I think from my position, so you see yourself as a vocalist guitarist. I see myself as a guitarist primarily. Vocalist. And I think that's where we should start this conversation, really, is you're primarily the guitar player who's singing because he has to, and I'm the singer who's playing guitar because he has to. Yeah.
So let's talk about those two differences, because how we look at that is exactly how, when we get on stage, you or myself, we're gonna take things differently. So let's talk about that right away, because for me, the Voice Live has built-in guitar. I do not have to bring my amp one. Now,
so
it doesn't mean I won't.
Yeah.
I don't have to. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So,
and what makes those decisions, and what you would do for a setup for live versus what I would do. So go.
All right. So just go into I think a good scenario for this is going to a jam or an open mic where you're going to have to play through somebody else's amp. Right.
Okay, so you're going. All right, let's start with somebody else's amp.
So you bring your own guitar.
All you're bringing is your guitar.
Right. So when I come in, what everybody wants to bring, like, you think in the back of your head, like, I should bring a pedal, because then I'll at least have I'll have some semblance of the sound that I use. Now, I've done this, right? Here's one of the pedals that I brought. This is a Barber Trifecta. This is a fuzz pedal. Right?
Right.
And that should tell you right there, like, where my allegiances lie as far as coming in and saying, okay, this is how I'm going to sound. Because it's never, like, when you do those kind of open mic things, for whatever reason, it's never a dirty amp. It's always like,
it's always a super clean amp.
Yeah.
A Fender Deluxe or a DeVille or a Blues Junior.
And you don't, and at least for my needs, I don't know what a drive pedal is going to do to that amp. Like, I can guess, and if I've had experience with it before, then yeah. But when you're like, oh, I'm going to go to this jam night, you're not thinking, hey, I wonder if they're going to have a deluxe reverb or if it'll be a hot rod. You know what I mean? So if I bring this is going to change the sound of whatever the hell I plug it into. But because
the Barbarella,
because it's a fuzz pedal, like the gain is so ridiculous that it's going to still sound like this pedal regardless. And it's going to feel like this pedal because it's already all the saturation's coming from this thing. Like,
why not your Helix? Why not your Helix? And just tell them to take pull the mic out of the thing, plug it right in.
All right. So that's why I bought.
Just curious.
That's why I bought the Helix originally. So open mics are kind of a different situation because you get a few minutes to set up for an open mic. But a jam night, like, you just come up, throw your stuff on the floor. I would definitely take the Helix to an open mic where I can say, hey, I just want to do direct in front of the house. And then just run my own line out to their amp, and
just make sure you bring an XLR cable or a 1/4-inch cable, whatever.
And I tweak the one patch I'm going to use that night, and away I go. The disadvantage to doing that in a jam situation is, okay, what's their PA? Is their PA even going to have an open channel for me to use? Does their amp? Can I go direct into the effects loop on the amp? Then I got to disable my cabinet model in order to, so it's just like a whole thing where you really, it can be done, but it's a lot more prep work than I want to do to go to those kind of situations.
Well, okay. So realistically, if you go into an open mic, okay, and I've been to pretty much thousands of open mics across a wide variety of this planet. Okay. I'm talking about in America and beyond. Typically, even if they don't have an open channel, like let's say it's a full band open mic.
Yeah.
Which I imagine you're calling that a jam thing.
No, I'm talking about an actual open mic where, like, people come up with their whole band and play. Like
Yeah,
those
well,
kind
I'm
of
talking about like a
situations.
house band. Well, they're willing to play with you.
Oh yeah,
Um,
sure. Most of the time, the ones I've gone to haven't been that way, but yeah,
right.
I've been to a couple of
Now,
those too.
right. Now, if you go to an open mic, whether they have a full band that's willing to play with you or just a single person up there, they're going to have an open. They can open a
Yeah,
channel for you.
usually
You know,
usually they can make it work, but again, that's prep time, and a lot of times they want to get you up and out, up and in and out as fast as possible. So I always try to ask before I sign up. Is like, how much time do I
yep,
have to set up? I mean, I can
yep,
always throw my Helix in the trunk and then have
yep.
it available to me, but I don't like leaving my shit in the car, especially like those kind of
Not in
situations because,
Chicago.
well,
And
I
not the
don't
heat.
gig in the city very often. It's usually in like really fancy fucking upper class suburbs, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm so sorry that you're. Look, I go to Virginia Beach, so
Like, yeah, when you get going to Martha's Vineyard,
yeah. Well, I have friends. Yeah, a lot of friends, Facebook friends that are in Martha's Vineyard area that do that all the time. But yeah, so there's a difference. I mean, so now for me, most people would think, okay, you're a guy who plays guitar. You're probably going to bring one of your acoustics. Honestly, I bring an electric, and I try to bring some like the Amp One now. But before that, I used a Boss ME80. I used a single
yeah,
pedal simulator. Now I can bring the voice live. I can say, hey, I'm going to connect this.
hmm
And I can pop their XLR off the back of the mic, plug it into mine, put an XLR cable up to the mic, and the guitar in, and now I'm just one right through the channel into the same channel going out to
yeah,
the
which is hugely advantageous. I mean,
yep,
then you're just throwing, and if you got it all on mounted on a pedal board, just throw your pedal board down, plug it
yep,
in, and then
yep,
plug your two audio cables, and you're done. So
yeah. So now that said, open mics are pretty much easy for me. I mean, I usually do bring. It depends on the open mic, and I know most of the people. I mean, if the first time I go to an open mic, I'll usually just go to feel it out.
yeah,
I'll go because somebody will loan you a guitar.
yeah.
Hey man, I borrow your axe. You
I
know,
don't. Well, see, I'm never big on that. I always bring a guitar, even if I'm not going to play. I have it with me. It's like in my hands, and it's like I'll play
no, because if I
anywhere
don't want
one
to play,
time.
I'm not bringing an axe. And that way, they no matter how much they say, hey man, you got to get up. I'm not getting up there. No,
I don't care. I
and
get
that may
anywhere.
sound like assholish, but
I've never had one I've gone to where I've been like, I'm not playing.
yep,
Like,
I've had plenty where I'm like, you know what? I just came out to feel it out. I have no interest in getting up here. And we should tell some open mic horror stories. So
oh,
I went to an open mic a few weeks ago, and there was this guy that gets up there, and they had a house band, and they had to teach him how to play the songs that he wanted to play. So they spent, you talk about a few seconds to plug in a chord. This is an open mic night. People are always waiting. You know, we're always tired. We go because we're hoping that the place will hear us play, so they'll hire you. You know, that's the whole thing.
or you go in to meet people, and
Right.
that's
Or you
my
went in,
thing.
yeah. You went in to jam with some folks that were like, "Hey, why don't we get together? Hey, why don't we get together at an open mic? That way, nobody gets together at somebody's house." A lot of people are weird that way. I don't
Yeah,
want people at my house, and I don't know.
you're
And
gonna
we'll
love
get,
it when I show up.
yeah. Well, I already know you, but
Oh fuck! I'm
then,
sorry then.
yeah, I know it's. I've been warned. So anyway, we get up there, and this guy he didn't. And of course, the star of the open mic is always somebody who can't perform, save their life. But they're the star of the open mic. They're the karaoke king or karaoke queen of the world. There's a Kenny Chesney song that talks about the
Been a
karaoke
couple
queen.
of been a couple of places where I've gone, and like the house band has been really good.
Oh yeah, usually the house band is
Oh,
awesome.
so you're not
If they
talking
have a
about them. You're
house
talking about the guy
band,
that's getting up to
I'm
perform.
yeah, I'm talking about the guy. There's a guy in this area. I won't mention his name because, good lord, he might.
He might
Um,
actually listen.
yeah, he might actually listen to the podcast once. And anyway, he gets up every time. He's like, "Yeah, I got the," and he sings, and he has no range, so he's always, every song has less dynamics than my speaking voice during this podcast. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And So he'll get up there and he's like, "Yeah, now I'm going to do this song, and it's my last." Like this is your performance, and you now. I guess I'll get down so some other folks can get up here. Like nobody has been begging you to stay up there, bro. You can get down anytime.
Well, he wants you to know that he really enjoys being up there.
Yes, and it's just got the attitude. I think it's hard for me to express on a podcast, but everybody knows that person. They're up there. That's their stage. I mean, they own it. They own it. Whether they are good or not, they own it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get off stage, and it's like, oh God. I had one guy get up. Here's the other danger of open mics. Because they're open mics, someone will always get up and sing with you, or grab a guitar and play behind you. I had one guy sit down and try to bang out a rhythm behind me. And I was like, "Oh, thank you for getting up here and completely blowing my whole thing." Because I don't care about my performance, honestly. It's an open mic. Who gives a shit, right? But dude, can you let me just do? I didn't get up there and blow your performance out the door.
Just let me do my thing. I didn't invite you up here. You didn't ask. Like, what the hell are you doing?
I mean, what are you doing? You can't even keep time, bro. Just stay off the drum thing. Or the what do they call that thing that people sit on and bang? The cajon.
The cajon.
The cajon.
The cojones.
The cojones. They're sitting there.
They might as well call it the cojones.
Why do you keep?
You got some fucking balls. You got some big brass balls back there.
It's just terrible.
I think somebody should invent one where if you sit down on it and you're not supposed to be up on stage and you start tapping away, it reaches out and punches you right in the nuts or right in the genitals. It don't matter if you're a man or woman.
Or it zaps you there.
Yeah. And then it can be the cojones.
I still don't know. Yeah. Anyway, that's my thing. If I go to an open mic not to play, just to go, I just go. And then if I decide to play, I play. It's just hard to
so, in order for me to get my lazy ass off the couch, like and I say laziness in like loosest sense of the term because I do a lot all the fucking time. But in order for me to get off the couch, like I have to go to play. Like if I go there and I go and just sit around and watch people, I'm gonna fucking lose it. Because I'm just like, here I am, this guy that doesn't play enough, now sitting in a club full of people that are wanting to watch people play, or at least are getting some sort of entertainment out of it, some sick satisfaction out of watching the poor saps. And like, that's why I'll be like, I'll just get up there. I'll bring my guitar. I'm not going to mess around.
Dude,
like
most open mics are other musicians sitting
they
there
are.
with their
they
arms
are.
folded.
The one that I've gone to twice now has been a mix of like performers and drunks, and like that's the way I like it.
I like those. I love those.
Yes, the performers and drunks.
Yeah, because I'm playing for the drunks, not the performers. I could give a fuck about the performers.
Yeah,
that's there.
So, that I feel the same way. So, like, yeah, the guitar players in the room are not going to be impressed by me. They've all seen Yngwie, they've all seen Paul Gilbert, but I'll get up there and I'll do something, that might impress the lay folk. And that's kind of like, that's how I feel about it. Like, I want to be there with the lay people. So, maybe the bar regulars, people come in and drink, have a beer or two after work or whatever. So,
all right, so now the open mic ends. The night is over. Club owner walks up, says, "Hey, why don't you come back 2 weeks and can you play for 2 hours for $200, $150? That's a realistic number. $100 to $200 is a realistic number. I say, man, why don't you come back and play for a couple hours and we'll give you some, pizza and beer or whatever, and we'll give you $150. What are you going to bring with you? What are you going to say, and what are you going to bring with you?"
So obviously, first, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come in, and followed by, so what do you need from me in terms of how we set up and tear down? Like, where am I going to be located? Same place as where you're doing the open mic, and then what kind of volume levels are you looking at? Like, where do you want me to be in terms of how we sit with the, how important is it that the bar be able to hear the drink orders, etc. Are there any? And then the other thing I ask, and this is because I've run into this before. Are there any sporting events that night? So
Right.
and then I try to schedule so it works for them. So I'm like, look, if you're gonna have a Cubs game on until 9 p.m., that means I don't need to be here to set up until like 8:15 ish because I'm not gonna start playing until 9:15.
Yep.
So.
All good questions.
But it's all business oriented, right? So
right.
I need to know
what are you going to bring with you? So here's David. He's coming in with his solo act. What are you going to bring with you?
For me, I'd rent a PA cab, depending on whether they have a house PA or not. I rent a PA cab. I'd bring an SM58. No reason to have any other microphone. Probably some sort of I don't want to say vocal processor. I'd probably just bring the Helix at this point and use that to process my vocals so I get some compression, because that's the main thing. You never know, unless you rent the board or you own the board, whether it's going to have assignable compression for the channel you're on. And then I'm just going to bring my my Mark 525. I'll set it to the appropriate volume, and I'll have my Helix running 4 cable with it, and that's it. There's no real reason for me to do anything more than that. I'll bring 2 guitars, so that if I break a string, I don't have to fart around with replacing it. And my wife will come with me, usually, just to make sure that, I have somebody to watch my gear if I have to take a piss or something. But that's basically it.
Okay. That sounds good. So
I'm sure I'm leaving some things out, but I mean, essentially, just the stuff I need to play. As far as guitar is concerned, amp, 2 guitars, and some sort of floor processor so that I can, control my amp and all that.
Now, the reason for 2 guitars, why?
String breakage. That's really it. Okay. I mean, I've been in situations, especially playing by myself, where I've broken a string and I had to get through, a song and a half or something before I can change one, and it's ugly. And I mean, it's not that I can't do it. I have done it, in fact. It's just one of those things where, I get distracted, and then everything else is going to suffer. Especially with me having to handle vocal responsibilities now. If I start doing solo thing, I don't want to have to worry about that kind of stuff. So the way I would handle that, I've already been looking at mono cases. I'd probably just get a double gig bag, and then Kensington lock that fucker to something, so nobody can walk off with it.
Let me tell you, those mono cases are expensive as a guitar.
Yeah, well, I'd leave the guitars in the case and then strap that to something that ain't moving.
Yeah. I can't remember where I was the other night. Saw somebody with 2 mono cases.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
You have $400 in soft cases, dude.
Yeah. So I would bring, I have a regular gig outfit, so to speak, that I'd bring. Obviously, I've added the Voice Live. So I would bring the Voice Live. I have 2 bags that I bring with me. One bag has all my 1/4-inch cables, and one bag has all my XLR cables. So 1/4-inch XLR cables, I would bring in with me. I would bring my Voice Live. It's also in a bag. I have a Roadrunner case for that. Obviously, my mic stand. I'd always bring 2 guitars, but usually it's not because of string breakage, although I do want to be ready for that. I'll tune 1 to drop D, and 1 to...
so you have that available when you need it.
Right. I always bring 2 microphones, I bring a power strip speaker.
Yeah, I mean, I always carry the cables, too. That's in a separate... It's not even a separate bag anymore. I put it in the Helix and carry surge protector and all that. You got to have backup because you never know what the hell they're going to have.
Exactly.
Even if they tell you they're going to have something, you're never really sure they're going to have it.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. When you have, so you'll go in, they'll say, "Oh yeah, here's the 2 dangers. Here's the 2 questions that you left out that are real important." I can come up with more, but these are 2 huge ones. Number 1, power. Am I going to get my power? Be ready to have to run all your gear out of one hole.
Yep. So I've had to do that.
Number 2, I'm always ready for that. So I bring a 15. I don't have it behind me, but uh, at Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever you go, you can get them at Walmart now. They make a really
Yeah,
long,
it's just a,
4
yeah.
feet with 15 things in it. That way, you never have to worry about wall warts getting in the way or not getting in the way. Just get everything in, plug it in. Try not to be plugged in where they've got one of those lights, those neon
Yeah,
signs.
and just be aware that those are not surge suppressors; those are just strips. So you need to plug that into a suppressor.
I want a ferment or a surge suppressor or something like that.
Yeah.
The I put that into a surge suppressor into the wall.
Right, that's what I would do too.
I have a small surge suppressor I bring with me that's like that isn't. Don't get the $10 surge suppressor from Walmart.
No, get yourself a Furman.
Right, get yourself a good one. That's like I said, I use a Furman, but you can use whatever you want. Be willing to spend $30-$40.
Well, the Furman has line conditioning in it, which is why for $40, I mean, you can't beat that.
I'm saying. So that's why, and those go on the special. Once in a while, the Daily Pick or Musician's Friend's Stupid Deal. I'm addicted to those things. I finally took out, as an aside, I finally grabbed my bags and I put all my XLRs and my quarter inches into one bag each to make it nice and easy for myself. Because I was like, they were splayed all over the place. They have to weigh 20 pounds a piece. That's how.
Yeah, I'm looking at right next.
This is one guy.
Right next to me, there's I want to say it's like a 20-quart. It's a big bin, right? And it's filled with cables, and that thing weighs easily like 35 pounds. And I believe it's just XLRs and quarter inches in there. My power cables are in another bin the same size, and it's equally heavy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then I have and that's the other thing, always, because most of your gear, not all of your gear, if you have, like I do, you have the power, the Voodoo Lab power thing for your pedals.
Mm-hmm.
That takes those standard, I like to call them computer, I know there's a name
IEC mains.
Thank you, the IEC. Make sure you have a few of those with you. I like to have 4 or 5 of them in my bag. They make really good ones that you can buy that we used to use for servers. And so a company I won't name used to throw them away. So I'd take them home. I asked my boss, all right, if I could take them, but she said it was all right. So
yeah, and you know what? You end up with 5,000 of them before it's over with. I threw out a garbage bag full at one point.
Oh my God. But what I was getting at is because the way servers plug into a rack, they don't use the 3-prong thing for the wall. They actually plug in both ends like it's an extension cord it acts like an extension cord for one of those. So it's nice, heavy duty, sturdy. It's made to hold a lot of power. Really well built. I'd recommend getting some of those too.
Yeah, they're tough as nails. And the other thing is you can get for service power supplies if you're source them that way. You can get the Y cables. And so you can run into ground problems there, but in a pinch, it might save your ass. So it's worth having 1 or 2 of them.
Yep. So what did I say? Oh, and then so I said power. The other side of it is, am I going to be indoors or outdoors? Don't make assumptions.
That's why the first question I ask is, where am I going to be setting up at? Because
if you're going to be outside, the next question needs to be, am I going to be covered?
Mm-hmm.
And, there's 2 reasons you want to be covered. One is the obvious one, rain. But I tell you, down here, rain can be sideways, so even cover can be useless. The other side of it, and again, this can go sideways on you, the sun. Oh, let me tell you, you do a summer gig.
Or bird shit.
You're outside. Oh, bird shit's just as bad.
I have heard horror stories. It's never happened to me, though.
So if anybody's played in Virginia Beach, the 32nd Street stage, oh my God, there's this big, huge over by the King Neptune statue. It's this huge stage, and it's really nice, and it's really huge, and it's also exposed to the sun most of the time. And the cover is like 18 feet above you. So if it rains, it's useless. I mean, it's like it's just this ridiculous thing that I'm like, what? Why do you? This cover's great if or if the rain is coming straight down, which at the beach it will never come straight down. It will always come from the east, blowing in. That's what it does. It's the ocean breeze does. Anyway, those are things to ask.
So, I'm trying to think. I want to give a gig horror story, and I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a good one.
Oh, I got a good one while you're waiting.
Yeah,
so
go for it.
I'll give you a good one. So, gig horror story. First, I'm going to give you the funny gig horror story. So I was on stage. We were doing a song, and I can't remember exactly what the song was, but it will come to me. And there was this young lady dancing in front of me. A lot of folks were dancing. This young lady dancing in front of me, and her boyfriend or husband or whatever was playing pool. And she was trying to make him jealous, I guess. Drunks don't make any sense at all.
I know this story. I know where you're going.
She decided that she was going to go ahead and flaunt her wares in front of the band. And this part is funny. Then the horror story comes in. So she decides to flaunt her wares in front of me, and I had been looking away. So when I looked back, I saw her, and it kind of took me aback. So I fell backwards because I thought she was a little closer than she was, and I did not want to make physical contact.
You didn't want to go to the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know what she was carrying, other than her
other than
bag.
trouble.
So, yeah. So I backed up a little, which then I tripped and I fell into the drummer's stand, the bass drum. My head hit the cymbal in the middle. You know how they'll put a little splash cymbal in between.
Yeah.
And so that splashed and it bounced off and I fell onto the stage. And it was just everything come crashing down. Everybody was laughing. Of course, her boyfriend got mad and they got into a fight and left. But later, this is the horror story. So I can't tell you how many times that women have done that in front of me at a gig. I mean, it happens all the time. And here's the thing that I want to say. It's that then the wives got jealous. Like the husbands did something to cause this to happen. Not my wife. My wife doesn't care.
Yeah, but the band wives, right?
The band wife. All of a sudden, and let me tell you something. Nothing is worse than a band wife. Nothing. Because they want to tell you how to. They want to tell you what songs
they think they're in the band. They think they think they have the skills and abilities to run the band.
They think they're management. Now, if anybody has seen this is Spinal Tap, and you see that hippie woman that's
you mean Yoko Ono? Oh, I mean never mind.
Yeah, what's her face? The Janice or Janet or whatever. That's what happens. And so now all of a sudden it's like these women, oh well, I want my husband to have to do this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, look, the women are going to be in the audience, and if they show themselves, that's not his fault. That's not my fault. It's not anybody's fault. That is just something that happens. And for you to get mad is just for you to say that I don't trust my husband enough, standing right in front of me with a piece of wood in his hand, that between him and everybody, and a mic stand, that he will not go after women. You really have serious problems if that needs to happen. And your husband doesn't belong in a band at that point.
Well,
just stay at home.
I have some beliefs on why this occurs, but we'll save that for later. But
okay,
go on.
No, I'm just saying. So then they started going, oh well, you have to sing this song and you have to sing that song.
Yeah. We talked about that before in an earlier episode.
Yeah, as it is, I'm not crazy about the other musicians telling me what I have to sing. I don't tell you what to drum. Don't tell me what to sing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you go to me, hey, I can't do that song. It's too tough to drum, or I can't do that song. It's too tough for me to. I'm not good at Van Halen, or I'm not good at playing.
That's a good way to get thrown out of the band.
But all of a sudden, if I can't sing, oh, well, if you can't do this Journey song, you can do all these other Journey songs, but you can't sing this one. Oh, you must suck. Let's hear you sing one. You know, oh, you can't sing it the second song of the night. You can't do "Don't Stop Believing." Well, first of all, no, and second of all, it doesn't belong as the second song. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
but those are the things that you get. I can't. I'm kind of glad I'm going solo for a little while. For
Yeah.
those,
Well, sometimes you need a break, and especially because I know at least in the band that you were in, like you were trying a whole bunch of new material that you normally wouldn't have picked, and it was
yeah,
like, where you felt like you were being pushed in a different direction. And it's kind of funny because they're all going and doing that same material, so it's pretty clear, at least to me, for the psychology of the situation, that they were pushing for that.
right, exactly. I mean, like take a song like "Burning Down the House," which is really a boring song.
Okay. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear that in the club. I'm sorry, but
No,
I mean, yeah, they might enjoy it, but they're not like requesting it. That's not going to
no.
bring people out. You know what I mean? Like that. I'm not going to be at home like on a Friday night, and be like, oh man, Retro Sonic's playing down there, and I heard they played "Burning Down the House."
Yeah.
Like, what the
See,
fuck?
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're choosing your songs, you've got to remember that it may be one song somebody stays for. They may come in and have a beer and hear one song. What's if you have a list of songs that's 42 songs deep, then that one song in any of those 42 songs, you always hear this, oh, it's beginning of the night, doesn't matter. It's early. Wait a minute. No, it does matter. Every single
Because that
song
might get
matters.
somebody to stay.
Especially in today's world of instant communication with Facebook Live and all the other social
People
media,
just my
Instagram, Twitter.
just my perspective. People don't stay in bars for hours anymore.
No,
Don't.
they don't.
They go in there. They're in there for an hour. They have a drink or two, and then they leave. And I don't even see the drunks the way I used to.
No.
Like, just going with because I don't actually go into bars all that often. But going with my parents, they go on Saturday night to karaoke at a local bar, and I'll go over there and I'll have some bar food, and because I have great food there. And I go and I sit with them, and I'm like, there's no drunks at this place. It just doesn't get rowdy like that anymore. And it used to be like, I can remember hearing from, the people I knew that did frequent these places, or the times I was going to play, seeing people who are just fucking hammered. And they don't do that anymore. I'm sure those people are like, I'll just stay home and get drunk. It's cheaper. Because the price of drinks has gone up. I mean,
the cost of the drinks have gone up, the insurance on the bar, and that's what I'm going to get to the next thing. So many people, the thing that they're trying to do, is this. Here's what I hear from band members all the time. I only want to play what I want to play. I want to do songs I like.
Well,
and what they forget is that's fine. If you want to play in your garage, in your basement,
well, you have to balance it out too. You can't be like, all right, I got this one fucking Anvil song that I love, and that's the only song I care about playing. Like, listen, that's not how you're gonna get gigs, okay? Nobody even knows who the fuck Anvil is. I mean, they do now, but I mean, it's not like they're still not Twisted Sister or Quiet Riot. You know what I mean? If you're in for that kind of music, you would be better off picking a Twisted Sister song or a Quiet Riot song. Like, you got to kind of take the good with the bad and understand that this song is not a winner.
Right. Well, there's that. So you do, even if you get, let's say you're picking Eric Clapton. You'll say, oh yeah, you know what, we're going to do Eric Clapton. Okay, let's do Cocaine. Let's do
right.
Tears in Heaven. Let's do Crossroads. Let's do the Big Cream song.
Yeah, you can do a bunch of like Sunshine of Your Love and
Sunshine of Your Love, right? No, let's do, or Badge. No, let's do this song nobody ever heard of, but Clapton did one time.
Let's do Key to the Highway. I don't know how many fucking open mics I've seen where somebody has tried to do Key to the Highway,
and it's like
his version, okay? Because it's not his song.
I know. And then you sit there and you go, what the hell are you thinking? Nobody knows this song. You want to know a way to clear out a bar? Do Rush.
Yeah.
Do a Rush song.
Oh, I don't. So that depends in my area. Like you did a Rush song, everybody would stop and listen. It's just weird. We have a very strange musical culture around here.
Yeah, you're in the and see that's also area dependent. You come around here,
sure.
Where this is a tourist town.
You try to play YYZ and everybody look at you like you're insane. I would not be saying. I would not be advocating a local band to play YYZ. I would say
you right now.
Play.
Believe it or not, I think I'm going to lay out a track for YYZ.
Yeah, play Tom Sawyer. Like you know what I mean? Like I could totally see like Tom Sawyer or something like that, but not YYZ. Like but that being said, we talked earlier in this episode about the fundamental differences between the way that we're approaching this, and I think I kind of want to get back to that a little bit, which is this idea that you approach it as a vocalist who's playing guitar, and for me, the guitar is the most important part of what I do, and so I know that like okay, my vocals don't I don't think about my voice, to be honest with you. It's just one of those things where it's like the guitar is going to make up for this, and I know that I have to do that, so I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to wreck it, and that's the way I look at it. And it gives me a whole different mentality and confidence to say that my guitar is more important to me and what I do than everything else. Now, the audience may not see it that way, and that harkens back to this whole discussion, which is that if the audience doesn't care about seeing this crazy guitar player doing his thing,
right,
I'm fucked. That being said, I like to think that I can throw a little bit of stuff in there. I mean, I used to play behind my head, behind my back, and all that shit to get people to pay attention, and I could do all that stuff. So I got to dust all that shit off because I know I'm going to need it if I'm doing this by myself.
Yeah, you're physically it's going to be a little different from you these days.
I don't know. The only thing I can't do is I can't fit into my old pants.
Yeah,
they're like I could if I could sew both pant legs together, I might get one pant leg on.
Yeah, yeah. So all joking aside about our own weight, yeah, I think that. See, with me, I'm going to go out there and my objective is simple. I'm going to play guitar, right? But I'm going to play it the best I can. But I can sing. Like if I forget a chord, if I blow a chord, I can sing well enough that the singer isn't going to get knocked out because I'm going to be okay. Where if if I'm playing with somebody else, I'm a little more conscious of that. But sometimes I'll try something, especially when I'm solo. Then I'm like, you know what? I could try that because I know I can sing so well. I can push
it's
that
a
up.
lot easier to go in with a well-oiled machine of a band.
Yes,
and like let them carry you at certain times.
It is.
It's going to be real because I've never done a solo show. So for me, this like I've done open mics and things like that, like 15 minutes or a half hour. I've never done like an hour or 2 hour set where it's just me, and
4 hours.
I know that's going to be a hell of a job. And I'm not, as I said, I'm trying to pick songs where the vocals are not as important. And that
I have done as many as 4 hours on a regular basis
with like an hour break or a 15-minute break.
I had 2 20-minute breaks, one between hour 1 and 2, no 3, one between hour 1 and 2, one between hour 2 and 3, and one between 3 and 4. I have done 4 hours as a solo artist, and that was without any effects pedals whatsoever. That was, you know what my rig was back then? I used a Fender Acoustic 90.
Well, why don't you tell us about your busking, Jim? Because that's pretty much right there. You don't even have a fucking audience, okay?
Nope. So I didn't even know busking existed. I grew up in a town where busking didn't exist, right? You didn't have corner musicians or street musicians. And so I went in the Navy. I was in France. I was in Toulon, France. And I see this guy playing guitar and had an open case, and people were throwing francs into it, or as the French call them, francs. So it's Frankenstein.
You're like, well, shit, I can do that. You're like, I can do that.
I said, shit, I can do that. So I went back to the to the ship. I grabbed my Yamaha, went out there, opened my case, and I started playing. And people threw money in there. Well, I was close enough to a little place, a little pizza beer place, and the guy, I know enough French and he knew enough English. We worked something out, and I went inside and I played. And the next thing I knew, every time I stopped into a place overseas, that's how I made money. I would busk somewhere near a club, and then the club would invite me in, and then I would play. And I did that in St. Thomas and St. Croix and St. John in Germany, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal. Let's see, Israel, Greece.
So you're going to have no problem getting back to that.
No, I know enough songs that literally it's not about learning songs or creating a set list or anything like that. I'll learn a couple, like I'll learn Wagon Wheel and Red Solo Cup and a couple other stupid songs that you're supposed to know to do these things. But for the most part, it's really just going to be me learning to use the new technology.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done a solo act since 2003, 4. So it's been 14, 15 years more, 15, 16 years, whatever. And so those days of having the acoustic, I loved that. I had that little Fender acoustic 90 behind me, or 60, whatever it was. No, it was a 120, because it had 60 watts for the guitar and 60 watts for the vocal. And they were kind of, even though they were in the same cabinet, one speaker was for vocals, if I understood it right, and one speaker was for guitar. And so you had a separate amp really inside the thing. Half the thing was built for guitar and half it was, but it was acoustic. So it had no, effects except a little delay, some reverb. That was it. Little chorus, I think, on the and I didn't use a pedal. I didn't do anything. Matter of fact, my guitar didn't even have controls, like a volume control. It was just a 9-volt battery and out. And I just pop it in and go. That's how cheap and shitty my guitar was. It's hanging right here. It was a Takamine Jasmine.
God.
That's anybody who knows the Takamine Jasmine line knows how shitty and cheap it was. So yeah, that's I'll tell you that I don't really think about it much anymore, but the truth is that little guy right there, and that's this guitar that I've got pulled apart, which was a guitar called a Bentley. Right now it's pulled apart because I got to get a new preamp for it. It at least had a little volume knob and a tone knob. No built-in tuner. Neither one of them has built-in tuner. And then I have a 12-string Ovation. But anyway, the Bentley I had through the 80s and into the 90s. That is the one. This guitar right here traveled. It has been all the way around the world with the exception of Asia. It hasn't been to Asia. So that thing hasn't been to China and, up the between. It's been into the Black Sea and it's been up into Russia. So I guess that is technically Asia, right? The east side or west side of Asia, but it's never been over to the Far East or it's been in the Middle East, never to Far East. That guitar right there has played for literally millions of people around the world. That little guitar right there. So that's why it got dropped. The bottom bout is smashed.
But you still got to hang it up because it's memorabilia.
And I had the band America sign it, and so I got to get a new preamp in it. I got to put about $60-$80 into it. Get a little Fishman.
I'll see to it that it's buried with you.
But I'm probably just gonna, instead of running because the bout where so what happened was I was on the ship and I was getting ready to go to a gig with it, and I walked outside of the space and I had to go down 3 levels or 2 levels straight down, and I dropped it, and it landed right on the butt end of the guitar, boom, and the preamp just got pushed right. And I was like, oh, no, this is not going to be good. So I had to mic it that night, and it hasn't worked since as far as the preamp goes. So I've had to mic it ever since. So, but I don't think I've changed the strings on it in 15 years.
So it's pretty rusty then.
It's oh yeah, those strings literally I have them pulled off and tied in a knot.
Yeah.
They're not putting any tension on the neck. But it's gonna get serviced. It's worth the money to in the memory.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like
of me playing it in 1985 in a club, back when I was doing a duet in Virginia Beach. I'll put it up on the Facebook page.
Yeah. So, hopefully, I mean, and I look at my solo thing as a means to an end. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily plan on doing this for any length of time.
No.
But I got to do it. Like, it's just I got to do it. I got to make the sacrifice. Like, I don't know enough people, and what I'm gonna do first is I'll probably just do little 3-song sets at open mics until I meet some people. Hopefully that will work out. So I don't have to play hour or 2-hour sets of me doing the singing and trying to use my guitar playing to hold everybody's attention. So I have enough tricks.
What kind of music would you be doing to do that?
Let me
give me an example.
Well, I'm gonna be playing like Purple Haze. I'm gonna be playing. I'm starting out with Hendrix material, but there's other stuff in the list. I'm pulling it up so I can go through it. So, like, there's some Hendrix in here, some Deep Purple, some ZZ Top, Iron Maiden, which that would go. So it really just depends on how I structure the set. And there's Black Sabbath and stuff like that. So if I do a set that's more of like in a biker bar kind of place, then I can play Iron Maiden, Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath, and maybe some Led Zeppelin. If I'm in a place that's more like suburban, I can get away with the more hippie-esque stuff. So like Jimi Hendrix comes out, Doors. I've got some Janis Joplin stuff I know.
You got some Skynyrd.
Yeah, I mean the standard stuff you can apply in those situations too. So it's about knowing your audience. What would I want to be playing? Probably a lot of Hendrix, Deep Purple, The Doors. If it's just a cover thing, right? And then of course some of my own tunes, which are not. But that's the thing. Like I don't know how they even fit with stuff from the '60s and '70s that I really admire. Because my music tends to be a lot more progressive. So I'm even thinking about going back and like scrapping a lot of material that I've written and starting fresh with a more band feel where lay down a groove and then build a guitar part around that. So I don't know. It's like that's going to be a whole nother thing. At this point, I need to get out in front of people and I need to meet some guys that I can work with in order to put together a band that's maybe not necessarily business focused, but like we'd like to get paid kind of deal, so that we can write some tunes and mix them in what we have. So I'm double dipping. I want to meet guys that I can record so I can put my own material out, but at the same time, I also want to blind their pockets a little bit by going and playing places. So even if that means I have to take a little bit less money off the bill to get some quality players, like. I'll do a 60-40 split or whatever it's got to be in order to make that happen. Where I'm taking a smaller share. So,
mine is a means to an end as well. I think that what I want to do is get to where I can play and have a group of people who come out with me and play with me. But I want to build the band organically instead of like joining something that's already done together. I'll talk a little bit about joining bands that already exist. Typically, they're not willing to learn anything you know. This is the speech I get every time. Well, you're coming in, so you need to learn all of our stuff before we go learning anything new. That translates to we just want to sit here and drink beer while you do all the work. And then when you know all the songs, like in 3 days, because every fucking one of them is in the key of E, A, or G. That's it.
That's like 60% of material in general.
Exactly. So now you know all the songs. You have all the words memorized. And then it's like, well, that's kind of outside of our genre. We were kind of thinking of doing something, a little bit more, progressive. Oh, really? Something more progressive, like what? Well, we want to do this old Stevie Ray Vaughan song. Yeah, that's pretty progressive. Why don't you tell me more about how you're progressing? You know,
So
yeah,
I've heard this. I've heard this story from other people. Fortunately, I've never had the misfortune of being able to join a band in progress, which I think is actually a blessing, curse. Um, you're the hired gun, right?
right.
So that's the way that they approach it, and you don't have a say. You don't really actually belong here. We're just paying you so we can make money off.
Absolutely.
And that's always what that situation is. And so that's kind of why I've not really sought it out. I mean, I could easily probably audition and get into a group. I did an audition one time. It was the audition from hell, and I haven't done it since. And it's just one of those decisions I've made that is based on the fact that I've heard stories like this where people come in and they're literally told, "Hey, look, we need you to learn all our material," which is fine. You know, you're coming into the band. Like, I totally understand, accept that. But then it's like, well, you're a member of this band, but only so far in as, you know, like, you're here to perform and you get a cut of the money, but like, we're still, you know, choosing material and all that. And that, I mean, nobody wants somebody to come in and usurp the band. Like, I'm sure you've been on the other side of the fence, Jim, where you've had to hire somebody to bring them in. But I think a lot of us, as an individual, are probably looking at that situation going, we really want to bring somebody in that we get along with, that we can actually do something with. But as a unit, everybody's like, yeah, but this already works, and we know this works, so we don't want to change the formula.
Oh, okay. So there's that side of it. If you're a band that that somebody's coming into, all right, I joined the North 40 band. I'll give that the name because it's gone anyway. I joined the North 40 band. They were a country band. It was very popular in upstate New York for a long time. Had their own record, was offered a record deal, turned it down because nobody was going to go on tour from the band.
Right.
So the record was sold organically, still sold a lot of copies. And I would play gigs where I was autographing an album I wasn't even on. Okay. We didn't play. We turned our noses up at stuff that other bands would beg.
Yeah, because you are at the position where you actually had options.
Right. We were like, no, we're not playing there. We're not doing that. And we would throw those bones. We would never go, no, we're not doing it, and then just leave it.
Yeah, you'd be like, well, we got somebody better for this.
Yeah, we've got somebody that will work out better for you. I think they'll be a better fit, and so on and so forth. Anyway, the point is that when it came time to play for them, I went in and I learned their songs, and I never once suggested anything. But this band had it already.
Yeah.
They were the cream of the crop as far as country.
And when they brought in another bass player, what did they do?
They put me over to guitar.
Yeah, they actually kept him.
They kept me. And they said, all right, Jim, you know what? We're bringing the bass player back, who was the original bass player that had been on their record. They actually did too. And when he came back, they said, we'd like you to stay. We don't want you to leave. Do you want to go over to guitar? And they had me play lead and rhythm guitar, second lead and rhythm, so that the lead singer, could focus on singing and not playing as much.
Awesome.
So, yeah, and that was a lesson in learning that as long as you're the person that they can get along with and that they like. Now, the downside of it was that the bass player wouldn't show up for rehearsal half the time anyway. So guess who played bass at rehearsal?
Yeah, you were still playing bass at rehearsal and then playing guitar when you were live and he actually showed up. Like, yeah.
You play and sing his parts at rehearsal, but you play and sing your parts.
Yeah. So you don't get to rehearse, Jim.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it was such a wonderful experience and such a I would do it again in a heartbeat. And I would work with those guys again. Unfortunately, our other lead guitar player passed away. He just one day had a heart attack, and
that was that.
That was extremely sad. That was a sad day.
Devastating
And that kind of ended everything.
Yeah, that's a devastating thing that happens, especially to a band that's not like a top 40. I mean, well, hell, look at bands who've had it happen. Like the classic example is Metallica and Cliff Burton, and they were on tour and they finished the fucking tour.
Yeah.
Like what in the hell? I mean, no one of a smaller size, like a regional successful band, is going to be like, we got to finish the tour. They don't feel that level of commitment. It's just not going to be. I mean, I'm generalizing, but
right.
You're going to say, he was heart and soul of this thing, and like we can't go on.
Yeah, really, it was a family. That was the thing about the North 40, we were a family, and so when we lost a member to that was a part of us that died with him, and so we moved on.
So,
wow, that sucks the air out of the room, doesn't it?
Well, I'm taking a moment to reflect on hearing these bad situations, because obviously we've all probably, and if you haven't experienced one, you will at some point, a toxic situation in a band where, for whatever reason, you're the odd man out. Or, maybe you're the other side, maybe you're the guy that's like, I'm the bee's knees and everybody's like, loves what I do. And I'm the reason, that we exist. And, I don't like this particular person. And I mean, that first time where you have to actually either let go of a band member or sit down and have the conversation about what's not working. I had to do that in my first band, when I was in high school. I just sit down with a guy that, I guess I should talk a little bit about the band's makeup. So we actually were from two separate high schools. Anthony and myself, Anthony was the drummer, I was a guitar player. We met at our high school, and then we put out an ad, because we were intrepid, I would think it was 17 when I put up the ad. And we met a bass player from another high school, and then he lucked out, and we were looking for a singer, and he knew somebody who was kind of crazy and off the wall and willing to do it. So he came in, he had no vocal experience and like was not a great singer and was very much coming from a different direction than the rest of the band. And it wasn't working out because he wasn't, I don't know whether he was just didn't have the vocal ability or whether he wasn't able to hear things the way that other people are. And this brings me to like, there is a type of person out there who's tone deaf, who literally they can't hear in notes and melodies. I don't think he was one of those. I think it was just, he didn't know the right steps to take. So, we sat him down at one gig. He did something on stage that we were like, that really doesn't fit what we're doing. And we were pretty frustrated. And I won't go into specifics of it. It wasn't anything embarrassing for anybody involved. I just don't want to drag him through the mud. He might be a potential listener. And I said, with me and everybody else, we all sat down and had our third party discussion before he got to a rehearsal. And we said, look, it's not working out. I think we need to either cut ties or issue him an ultimatum. Be like, look, you got 30 days to figure out, what you're doing here. And then we'll reevaluate at that point. And that's what we ended up doing. But like, we knew 17 or 18 days in, like, this is not going to work out. And we were playing gigs during this time, right? Because we were like I said, a high school band. We were really intrepid. We were actually playing bars and we weren't supposed to, and stuff like that. And finally, when the day came, and he basically knew like it wasn't working out, and we told him like, it really sucks. Like, we didn't want it to be this way, and like, but we really, in order for us to continue to grow and all that, like, that was really difficult. And that was the first time where I realized like I had the power to really mess people up, because he was not happy about it. He was very upset. But then, so what ended up happening, singers are the hardest thing to come by when you're in high school, because people are like very timid, all that. And so we went and put up another ad, because that worked before, right? And we actually got a guy who came in, and he was 16, and we were all 17 and 18. And actually, I think I was 19 at that point. So I was out of high school. I was starting college, and we had this guy come in. He auditioned, and he was great. Right? He could sing Led Zeppelin tunes, and he had a decent voice. And we did the audition, and we didn't say anything during the audition, but we kind of, it was pretty clear after he left, like, we should hire this guy. But the thing that burnt us was that he was like, well, I'm in 2 other bands already. I like being in multiple bands. So, and we were like, this isn't going to work. So, we us being stupid, the kid was 19, or the kid was 16. So chances are his other bands were like him and his buddies playing acoustic guitar in his basement. Like, it wasn't, hey, come into this band that's already established. We're playing gigs regularly. Like, we need, somebody to come in and actually like pick the band up. So then that didn't work out. So we hired, we didn't hire anybody. We weren't making any money. So we didn't have anybody to pay anybody. Well, we got a guy from my high school that we knew, who is, again, kind of the same thing, like a close friend of the drummer, and just crazy enough to try to make it work. Right. And he was probably our longest term singer. And he was another guy that I didn't see eye to eye with from certain things. Like, I'm still in communication with him. Like, we have a very different idea of politics. And at that time, like, I wasn't afraid to wear my heart on my sleeve and like say, hey, I don't agree with thing and shit. Now I'm obviously old enough to realize, like, look, politics is everywhere. It's all bullshit. So I don't even get into those discussions with people unless I'm like a really close friend with them now. And because we were butting heads, and he quit. He walked away.
Wow.
So that was fine. And I think he felt like there was too much pressure, and it wasn't fun because there was pressure, and like it was like a job. He was expected to perform. He's also going through a lot of life problems at that point. So it was like, all right, I get it. We remain friends, like, kind of, friend of a friend sort of deal. And I'd talk to him now if I saw him, whatever. But so then this is the best one. So we went to a bar gig where the drummer worked, right? And they had asked us to come because they knew we were been pretty successful and played clubs and stuff.
Right.
Through Anthony. So we showed up and we played. And then at the end of the night, the guy that hosts karaoke came up, and he sang and Talking About Love with us, the Van Halen song. And we killed that place. It was the best live performance I've ever given. And it was, as the band as a whole, we sounded great that night.
Yep.
And so he joined. He actually,
oh, wow.
And he was way older than us. He was 10 years older than us. And he's like, yeah, no, I'll do it. So we rehearsed with him, and we were trying to put together gigs. And then I think we played 1 or 2 gigs with him. Yeah, we did. We played 1 or 2 gigs with him, and then that was that. Right. And it was like, the band disintegrated at that point. It was just, we'd gone too long without a consistent lead singer, and he was having some personal problems. Actually, he was the guy that, and I've told this story to Jim before, but he went home to the Philippines. He's Filipino.
Oh, yeah.
And he went home to the Philippines and discovered that he had a brother, and that he didn't know about, and that his brother was a like American Idol style karaoke star in the Philippines. If you don't know the Philippines, like, karaoke is like, basically, that is an art down there. They have TV channels devoted to it and everything else. And it was really devastating to him because he was working as a forklift operator, and doing karaoke on Wednesday nights. And he had the same talents and abilities as his brother. Yep. But his brother was still in the Philippines, and he came to the States.
Yeah. So that's a tough one. Yeah, and they call it karaoke, I think.
I don't know how they.
Karaoke. But so I think we're coming up on our hour.
Oh yeah, we're way over an hour. We're an hour and 20 minutes, but I think the discussion is important enough.
I'm going to tell a funny horror story that happened at a gig,
and then we'll close it out.
So I was in a band called Second Nature, and I can call it out because I don't think the band has been. It kind of disbanded, and we reformed a couple times with different people. But anyway, so our drummer one night was so drunk. How drunk was he? He was so drunk he fell off the drum stool. we were playing AC/DC, and I think it was TNT, and you're doing the TNT. It's just basic. He just got drunk, and he was like, "Dynamite!" And it went one of the times when he said dynamite, it just the guy hit the crash for some reason. He just fell right into his own drums and his whole kit.
Oh, he fell forward. He didn't even fall backward.
No, he fell into his whole kit.
Oh my God.
Knocked it all over. Another time, the same band, there were these two gals up front and they were like dancing, and our guitar player was rocking out. He was killing it, man. Then all of a sudden his guitar got this weird, it was like going wow, 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 wow. And I was like, what's going on? That sounds weird. One of the girls was dancing
standing on his wah pedal. My God. My God.
She didn't know it, but she was.
Yeah, she pretty drunk. She drunk. All right, Jim.
Yeah, those were good times. All right, David.
All right, so I've been David.
I've been Jim.
And The Grudge. whatever the hell that thing does. I need a haircut because I'm starting to look like that. But anyway,
yes, you are. You're starting to look funny.
Fuck you, Jim. You ain't got no damn beard.
I know. I shaved it off. It's so embarrassing. I cannot do any videos where I show my face.
And we have been the Practical Guitarists.